Hello, I'm Joey, the host and speaker of the Dwellyn Tiger Podcast, what you're listening to right now, and I'm throwing out a quick apology because I noticed listening back to this episode that my speech was perhaps a little bit off because I have a bit of TMJ and my vocal cords are really fucked up from talking too much, I think. So I do apologize in advance. If you don't notice it while listening to the episode, please ignore everything I just said. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Welcome to the Dwellyn Tiger Podcast. I'm Joey Llewellyn, the Dwellyn Tiger, I guess you can call me, and the favorite hapa that no one ever favorites or knows about and nor talks about, and that's who I am. There's other stuff about me. I am a college graduate with a BS in cell biology, a pursuer in the careers of research. I am also an athlete, triathlon and running. I do like trail running as well. Hope to do an ultra marathon and those ultra triathlons someday. Maybe, who knows? If my body doesn't break down, hopefully. I am a person. First and foremost, I am a person. You are a person. And because we're all persons, we all dwell on something. Hence the name Dwellyn Tiger. Okay, Dwelling Tiger. We all dwell on things. I dwell on things, and the things we all dwell on are very different from one another. So different. And it doesn't matter what kind of person we are. If we're successful, poor, somewhere in between, if we're an extrovert, an introvert, or maybe again somewhere in between, if we're a hopeless romantic, if we're a realist, a pessimist, optimistic person. I don't know the name for the optimist, I guess you can say. I think that's the right way of saying that. But yes, you get the point. I mean, it can be anyone, including yourself and including myself. We all dwell on things, and to go even into that, we dwell on various things: dating, relationships, intimacy, mental health, financial situations, bankruptcy, cheating, just adding some dramatic scenes in there, right? Dramatic stuff. But yes, we all dwell on different things. I said that for like the third time, I think. This is going so smooth, right? And just to give you guys an idea of what this podcast is about dwelling on things for the fourth time. We are dwelling. And I want us to stop dwelling on stuff. That's the purpose of this podcast, right? Now let's move on this episode, right? So we all dwell on things, and I want this podcast to be a place where we can stop dwelling on things, because for better or worse, I don't think it's completely healthy to dwell on things without ever letting it out or doing something about it. I mean, it doesn't have to include other people where you explicitly say this to someone or talk about it with someone. You can just dwell on it, think about it, reflect on it, and you do something for yourself about it. And that's cool too. That's fine. That's great. But if you do nothing, if you just remain stagnant on that dwelling thought or that thought that you're dwelling on, I don't think it's good. And I want this place to be a place where you can just let it out, right? Or if you can relate to my dwellings, I guess you can call it, then that's good too, right? You're just listening and you find out that, hey, like, I've been dwelling on the fact that, I just think I am coming up with nothing. Wow, this is well organized, Joey. Let's just say that your love life isn't going well, right? Let's say people mistake you as someone who's just gay, or maybe definitely bisexual. I got that a lot. And I used to think maybe that was the reason why I didn't have game, or it's just people or like girls didn't like me, or just like probably didn't pursue me. Not that I wanted to be the guy where I want all the girls to fawn over me, but I was just thinking that, because it's happened to me so many times, or a handful of times, where people thought I was gay, and then gay guys and others would just come up to me about that. And it was surprising in a humorous way, but it got me thinking too. So if you can relate to me on that, and you've been dwelling on that thought, like, why do people think that I'm gay? Why do people think about this about me? Like, what about me? Is it my actions, my words, my image? What is it? Or maybe I'm just, everyone else is probably just different, right? They just think differently, and overall I know I look straight, or people will perceive me as someone who is straight. Hey, I've been in that situation. Let's dwell on that together, and then let's talk it out. Let's do something about it, right? Because I think I have an extensive background, in my opinion, in both serious, silly, and fun. Serious, like mental health, family issues. I'm white Korean. My mom is a hot-blooded tiger mom. She is old school Korean from Busan, Korea. She is the OG. It is very much a real thing in my life with these, Asian parenting, I guess you can call it. So I definitely have experience in that as well. And if you've been dwelling on that, hey, guess what? That's something else I can also dwell on with you and talk it out with you. So I think you guys got the picture that there's a lot of stuff that I tend to dwell on, for whether it's silly, fun, just maybe like romantic wise or whatever, but even serious stuff, mental health, family issues, financial issues as well, career issues. Heck, I'm just, I'm getting out of college, or I got out of college somewhat recently, and I have issues regarding that. So if you're in the same boat as me, hey, I'll share my stuff with you, you share your stuff with me, and then let's try and get out of this, I think what people call it, a gray zone. And yes, that's what this podcast is about. Just talking out anything that we all tend to dwell on, and just hoping to improve, right? Just doing that for the better, for ourselves, because ourselves are very important. We are our own assets, right? Not that you don't hear that enough. And yeah, besides that, some other stuff that I dwell on that I definitely want to highlight for this podcast is, I want to say, mental health, kind of like life decisions and situations, and the halfy experience. By halfy experience, I mean, what it's like to be someone who's half Asian. I won't really say white Korean or half Korean, because that's very niche in my opinion, but I think it's, as a half Asian nonetheless, other half Asians can definitely relate to me. Ooh, sorry, I had a burp coming up. I didn't want you guys to hear that, so I just try to take it off the mic. You're welcome. But yes, I want to talk about the halfy experience. It's something that's not widely discussed, nor do people know about it all too much. And I think as a result, people tend to make more of a rude, insensitive remarks and ask kind of rude questions towards half Asians. For example, like, a common compliment that I often hear is, the exotic look. Even in a professional setting, they would tend to objectify half Asians. And, I imagine this happens more so with women who are half Asian, and say, she is more exotic, so we want her, or she is more exotic, so let's bring her in. Whatever the case and situation may be, I think it's just serious enough to where we need to talk about it more so. And I'm not trying to be super serious and a Debbie Downer, but hey, actually, let's get rid of that phrase, Debbie Downer. Not to say that all Debbies are downers. I don't want to be a party pooper, right? If that's a more appropriate term, more PC, I guess. I just want to give you guys insight, my advice, my experiences, so that, if you're dwelling on anything that I talk about and will talk about, I want you guys to have fun with it, enjoy it, and hopefully gain something from it. So that's what this podcast is and will be about. What it could be in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. I am still figuring stuff out. I want to just see where this goes, pretty much, right? Kind of like a first date. This is a first date. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me. And from there, we can just say, hey, I'm just looking for something casual, but I'm always open to something like a relationship, maybe. So I just, let's see where things go, right? Let's just see where it goes. And from there, I just hope this becomes something greater. In order not for the benefit of gaining influence or that clout, because I think a lot of people, like YouTubers, are doing podcasts now. Not that I have an issue with it, but I'm not doing this for any superficial reason. I honestly, growing up, even now, don't think there's enough people whom I can relate to specifically. More so because I have more of a unique / bizarre topics and questions that I tend to dwell on, and I'm also in just a unique situation as a half Asian that, hey, I mean, I don't really hear about too many resources that kind of talks about that, except for one, at least, that I know of, and that's the Hapa Project podcast. They are an awesome group, hosted by a white and black Korean persons, right? There's two people, and they live in Korea, so they are awesome. They actually cleared up a lot of stuff for me. So if you're half Asian, and even more so if you're half Korean, go check them out. YouTube, Spotify, I think wherever you can listen to podcasts. It's called the Hapa Project Podcast. Go check them out. I really do highly recommend them. So yeah, because I didn't grow up with many resources, platforms, or even people whom I can go to in order to seek answers or insight from, to clear up some of the confusion in my own head regarding like certain topics, situations, or even questions that were, either I was curious about or just was truly struggling with, I want to provide that platform, that place, that resource, and I want to be that person whom anyone and everyone can relate to, or just find insight or gain insight from, or even just a place of comfort. Providing a place of comfort so that if you do dwell on something, whether it's silly, like a silly shower thought, or something serious that you're struggling with, you can just come to this podcast, follow along with me, calm down or feel better, or just laugh your butt off, whatever it may be, or relish in my own awkwardness and just how bad I am in speaking to the mic, whatever the case may be. I just want to be that place that I never had growing up. So that, in a nutshell, is generally like what I want to do with this podcast, providing those raw, authentic, in a sense, like unfiltered, like conversations about these things that we dwell on. Be that resource, be that platform, and especially be that person whom you can just go to for whatever. But yes, I don't know what this podcast will be in the grand scheme of things, but let's just see where it goes. I just want to do this. I'm just happy and proud of myself to be starting this. Even if this first episode is shitty, beyond shit, is garbage, whatever you want to call it, I know it, and I will accept it for all it is. But it is a first step, and when if I'm like 500 episodes into this, I can look back on this first episode. It would be a monumentous occasion that, wow, look at me now, millions of followers, billions of dollars in. Right, I already said this ain't about superficial reasons or purposes, but nonetheless, it's I'm into it. I'm into 500, episode 500. I'm looking back on episode 1. I'm like, wow, what a fucking shitty podcast that was. Wow, do I sound like crap? Wow, do I sound like an idiot? My voice is so cringy. But again, it's a monumentous step for me and for you, if you do stick around for this entire ride, or however long it goes for. And let me actually, just for the kicks, let me explain the name between the words Dwellyn Tiger. So I just wanted a podcast name that represents me on some level, just a nice general sense of who I am. So let me explain Tiger. That's easier to explain. The national animal for South Korea is the tiger, and I like tigers, hence tiger. And I'm also half Korean, so hence tiger again. Dwellyn. That is a play on words of my last name and the word dwelling. So first of all, I think dwelling just describes who I am, because I tend to dwell on a lot of stuff without really doing something about it or kind of talking to someone about it. So I just thought it just helps describe me, and I feel like a lot of people as well. But then into more of the sillier aspect. So Llewellyn, my last name is spelled Lewellyn, and you already can imagine how dwelling is spelled, the actual word dwelling. So my second half of the last name it sounds very much like dwelling, very closely. So I just decided to mush the two together. So the way Dwellyn is spelled is funky looking, but that's because anything after the D, the first letter in Dwellyn, is how the second half of my last name is spelled. So hence the name Dwellyn Tiger. And with that, I will definitely want to close this episode on that note. I don't know what else to introduce. I don't know what else to really talk about with this episode. I don't want to just give away. It's not giving away, but I just don't want to just prolong this than what it's actually worth, because I just want to give you guys a good sense of who I am and what this podcast will be about, just to give you guys that hook and see if you can stick around. And with that, thank you guys so much for sticking around till the end of this podcast episode. I do hope that y'all can definitely relate to me, and if not, find this entertaining, fun, and maybe gain something from this, whatever it may be. I just want to stop everyone from dwelling on certain things that could actually benefit us for better, not for the worse, for the better, because I definitely can understand and relate to that. So again, thank you guys so much for listening in. Please support me by following me on anchor.fm/Dwellyn Tiger. That's spelled DWELLYN Tiger. And also follow and listen to me on your favorite podcast platform like Spotify and Google Podcasts. There's other ones, so literally whatever is your favorite one, search me up and go follow and listen to me on there. You can also especially support me by sharing this podcast with your friends and family. Whether, again, if they find this enjoyable, maybe entertaining, or if they can, benefit from it, please share this with whomever you think would like this. If you have any comments, questions, hopefully not concerns, but also concerns, and especially topics that you'd like me to talk about, just go ahead, email me at Again, that was my last email for the last name I was thinking for this podcast, but email me at dwellyntiger@gmail.com. That's spelled DWELLYN tiger@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram at thejoeyll. That's spelled THEJOEYLL. And I forgot to mention, there's also a messaging platform on the anchor.fm website. So if you go to my page on anchor.fm, there's actually a means to message me on there as well. So whichever one, whether it's be email, Instagram, or the Anchor website, message me, whichever one is more convenient for you. Again, thank you guys so much for listening in. I hope to get better with talking to the mic. Hearing myself, I'm already cringing, right? I'm already cringing, and I honestly do want to do this for myself, for you guys, and because of that, I will get better and better and better at the mic, and I will prevail. So, for the 5th and 100th time, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you next time. Goodbye for now.